So, hello everybody, welcome to a new session of Holochain-in-Action. So it is a virtual weekly meeting that a friend from the community, Holochain community, we are gathering here, talking to each other, embracing each other, and mostly talking about the applications in a Holochain, design, architect, somehow philosophy. So if you would like to join, you believe you have idea, you would like to share something with us, paid programming or anything, in the description, you can find the application form. Please send us an application form that to see that when we can invite you. So needless to say, like always, all the link, all the application repository, anything that we are discussing during the session, you can find in the description. And today it is all about the where, the application, or better to say the idea that implemented by Eric Harris Brown. So before going to agenda, I would like to ask Eric to open the discussion and topic, and then I can tell you what is the agenda of today. Please, Eric.
Yeah, well, so thanks for inviting me, Hidayat. It's really lovely to be here. So I work best if you ask me specific questions. I guess the reason I'm here is to talk about where, which is an application that popped into my head during a conversation about the way in which in these kinds of teams, these distributed teams that we're part of, how do we know where we are in all kinds of different spaces? Like how do we co-locate? How do we create sets of maps of where each of us is? Those things could be physical things. Those are the obvious ones, like what's our location, what's our time zone. That can be really important, just really simple, easy things. But the more important things are the abstract ones, like where are you, how are you feeling, or if you're thinking about solving a problem, what is the frame that you're coming from? If we could see those frames and make it really easy, then what would that do for our ability to collaborate? And so I thought, oh, that'd be super easy to make an application that would do this. And so I slapped one together, and now it's been developed, and Damien has been doing a lot of more work beyond what I did on it. And so it's beginning to look kind of fun and interesting. Yeah, so I don't know, what would you like me to do? Would I start with a demo, just share my screen and bring that up, or what would you like?
Yes, thank you for the start. The agenda is going to be something like that, that we thought about that at the beginning, because I really would like also to review the blog that you wrote, Eric, because there is a philosophy, also a blog. So let's review the philosophy, the blog, how Holochain can help this ideology, so how it's connected to Holochain, and then demo. And at the end, let's go and jump into the project and go for the code review, because there are also a bunch of nice practices you can find in the coding. Especially, we already talked about the building blocks. You will see how inside the where, for example, profile is used, or how the building blocks also used. And you can go and look at the where project. It can be a good example. It is the whole agenda of today. But first of all, the philosophy-wise, Eric, about the blog that you wrote, if there is anything I can share, or you can share your screen about the blog, or anybody else on welcome to other friends, I forgot, sorry. So if there is any question about the philosophy, where, what does it mean, how it's supposed to answer, what kind of answers targeting, would be fantastic.
Well, let's see, what can I say about that? I don't know. I mean, it's really quite straightforward in some sense, which is that it's like if you're a soccer player, and this is the thing I opened the blog post with, and you can put it in the comments or whatever later. If you're a soccer player and you have your and you're blindfolded, can you play soccer? No, because you have to see where all the players are in relation to each other, right? And similar, like the other example I have is if you're in a conversation that's emotionally difficult, and everything you do, you have to do on little slips of paper. You can't see the other person. You can't see where they are emotionally, or you can't look at their face and get a sense of where they are. It makes that conversation harder, because we've got a bunch of built-in technology as humans to be able to see where we are in our emotional state. And so like the fact that right now we can see each other makes it's huge. But there are all kinds of spaces that we're embedded in that are non-visible, that we will never be able to see, that don't get displayed on our faces or in our body language. And so it just felt to me kind of obvious that is a capability that we should be able to have to play with. And what I wanted to do is make it super easy for people to pop these things up and create them, and we can discover what kind of grammar exists for these different spaces where we inhabit, and how we can co-locate ourselves in those spaces, because I don't even know what they are. And my sense is that we'll be able to find all kinds of interesting ones. As an example, in the blog post, one of the things that that I talked about, or actually Jean Russell came up with this idea when I was talking with her about it, was the iron triangle of quality, time, and cost, right? So in a software project, different developers are often holding for different dimensions of that iron triangle. And if you're fighting each other and you don't know that you're holding for a different dimension, it's just not easy. So what about the idea of popping up a little diagram, getting everybody to say which one they care about most, and then we're like, oh, okay, good. So now we can collaborate better because we can see that. And there's a bunch of other types of ideas. People do retros all the time, where you are like, are you in some gradient from top to bottom in the screen? But that dimensionality of that is like linear in 1 to 2. And so what we would like to be able to do is, in the end, have all kinds of different dimensionality of spaces that we could be part of, and display that. So I don't know if there's anything else to say. If anybody has any questions about that, it's really quite a simple idea. It's not complicated.
Yeah, I just only one question. Where we are, but basically we always think about the geolocation, the place. So, but the where, it's a little bit bigger context. It means the where you are, it can be emotionally, it can be any template. It means we can specify the context, and inside any context where you are. So is that true? It means my imagination is not specifically just about the geolocation, about any context. You make a context and where you.
Yeah, like I said, to me, geolocation is the least interesting one. It can be valuable to actually know that, and often we don't. So it may be important, but it's typically the least interesting one, right? There are so many other spaces that we inhabit that are not physical, that are mostly cognitive. Let's call them cognitive spaces, that I think are really the important ones to help ourselves visualize and understand and map out. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question, and this is like more, we don't know what use cases will fit exactly what where is like, rather the other way around, which use cases will where as a tool be perfect for, and so on. But how are you imagining people using where in terms of both scale and synchronization? In the sense that, do you imagine this be more support tool for synchronous meetings or for asynchronous teams? Like, I don't know, overnight they put something in the map, not your location map, any kind of map. And scale, like, are you imagining this for 50, hundreds of people, or more 5, 10?
No, those are great questions. So I love the idea of being able to play with both of those things. So like one kind of thing, one kind of really simple where is, are you in, or are you online, or are you offline, right? Are you available or unavailable? So that is something you could just go refer to. You could have one of your where maps be where is the team in terms of availability, and it's binary, and you just move yourself from one to the other. You could do that, and then you could just go check. The main case I thought about it for has been in synchronous meetings where you just want to figure something out and have a visual sense of it. But I imagine that there's all kinds of different ones. I think that in terms of scale, again, I primarily designed it for or thought about it in the context of small working groups, but Damien is really interested in using it in the context of 100, 200 people in a community. And so in the most recent version, we're updating the way the markers can be smaller and bigger, because if the markers are too big or have an avatar in them, you can't see them relative to the space in whatever dimension you're doing. So I imagine that you could have this scale quite large. And I think it would be even really interesting to have it where you scale hugely, and then you do some kind of averaging of where people are and do heat maps, right? I'm excited to see if we can play with some of those kinds of things. I mean, this is really like opening up the field for what where is like and trying to come up with grammars for it. And I don't believe that this particular user interface will be the end all for it. I'm sure, and I hope that people will take this idea and spin with it and create more. I'm also really excited about three-dimensional spaces, where you can do where in 3 spaces or in fractal spaces, tree spaces. Of course, you can just do a 2-dimensional image of a tree and allow you and only say that the valid places to go are on the tree. But there are all kinds of spaces in cognitive spaces that are of lower dimension than 2. And if you can actually create user interfaces and reflect the dimensionality accurately, you could do some interesting things with your user interface to help select and find yourself on that tree or in that non 2-dimensional space. So yeah, so I think all of those are possible, and I'm excited to see what happens. This particular tool probably will stop working well above a couple hundred people. Harlan.
Yeah, I was thinking, like when you're talking about that iron triangle example that's in the blog. So if you're working with a small team, there are dozens of spaces like that, dozens, maybe hundreds of spectrums like that, or some dimensionality of spaces that are useful to be able to place people on at different times. And so as I was thinking about that, I was realizing like, oh, we already are existing in this high dimensional space where we have coordinates implicitly or explicitly on all of these different axes. And so what where is about is actually unpacking one or two of these at a time so that our minds can grasp where people are in some of these spaces that we already exist in an overlapping context.
Yeah, that's a beautiful insight, Harlan. It's basically a complexity reducer,
Mm-hmm.
so that the complexity can be managed cognitively, which is interesting, because then that allows us to do more complex things together more effectively. And that's a fascinating interplay there of complexity decreasing and increasing. Yeah, I love that insight. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's one other thing I wanted to say about just sort of the overall theory of why this is a particularly important thing to me. So people who know me know that I talk about grammar a lot. Grammatics is like one of my key things. It's like at the core of a lot of what I'm doing. And I'm really, really interested in this as a space to also not just do the stuff about where are we together in teams, but explore this concept of grammars. And if we get facile with grammatics in general, what that capacity creates in us. So for me, this is also a playground for grammatics. So when we get to the demo, I'll be able to demonstrate this, but it's the part of what we've done is we've made it so that it's really easy to create templates for spaces. And so when you have the iron triangle, which has time, quality, and cost, well, you can also create a template for any triangle type space. And then you can fill that template in. And so basically that's a grammar for thinking in terms of trinary spaces and placing yourself in them. We also, and there's also a template for quadrants. And so I'll give a little demo of that, which is kind of cool because there's all kinds of quadrant spaces. And that's really, really useful because then we can play with the grammatics of those. And I really, and so here's another thing. Grammatics is what makes evolution happen. The reason we live in a world in which there's evolution, I believe, is because the world is constructed out of grammatical elements, things that I call grammatical elements. So for me, grammar is not about language. It's a deeper pattern. It's about this pattern of templates, of templating of the partially specified and the partially unspecified that allows there to be emergent variety. And so I'm really, really, really excited about what actually emerges as families, species of these templates that are most useful. Like, I'm not sure the triangle one is the most useful or the grid one is, but I'm sure that someone is going to create a template of something that's really, really useful and easy. And that is exciting to me, our ability to think grammatically and start playing grammatically and what that enables.
Let's go to demo. So I think.
Wait, Joost had a question.
Okay.
No, I think also the demo would clarify. For me now, it's becoming too abstract, and I would require a definition of grammatics. It sounds like it's underlying rules or underlying patterns of something, but probably something concrete now will help me to understand.
Great. Would you like me to share my screen, Hidayat, or how would you like to do
yes,
the demo?
Please. Before going to, please share your screen and demo, and it's going to be unrevealed, but just for the more context. From the beginning to now, it was a philosophy if you are going to be curious. So I highly, highly recommend from the beginning or now, pause the video. I'm going to share the link of the blog in the description. Open and read the blog and make your mind ready to see what you're going to see that is going to be synced. So because almost anybody here, you already read the blog, and I highly, highly recommend that first pause, read the blog, come back to see what is waiting.
All right, cool. So let me share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to spin up Where, and if anybody else here has Where and they're on the Holochain-in-Action branch, so like if I do git status here, you'll see that we are in Holochain-in-Action is the branch. You can spin it up right now, and I think we will be able to communicate with each other. I'm pretty sure. So, oh, no, probably not, because the WASMs come out different, don't they? Well, I could probably upload the code, but anyways, so I'm going to do npm run start, which if you're doing this from the repo, you need to do npm install before you do npm run start, and you had to have done, well, I'll just do it. You had to have done Nix shell, which takes a while if you're running it for the first time, and then you do npm install, and then you do npm run start. This is just to run it locally. There's also there are releases in the repo that you can see and run them on the launcher, but I'm running this locally because I'm showing you the latest thing that hasn't been released. Okay, so this goes for a little bit, and then it pops up the browser. Hello, here it comes. Boom. Okay. So the first thing you see is the user interface for creating a profile. And this is probably familiar to some of you because this comes from the profile zone that Guillaume built. And so I'm glad that you're here because when we do the code review, it's going to be all your fault and you get to talk about that part. I didn't design this, he did. So you pick some image and you type in your name, and okay. Then what pops up is an initial example that we have some templates, I mean, some wheres that we created that you can just go with. So the obvious thing is geolocation. I'm going to click over here on the navigation menu and show you a couple other ones. We have a 2D map of the Earth. We can change the scale, and we can go put ourselves in it. It's too bad that we didn't actually prepare for more people, because it would have been more fun to have more people show up. So here we go. I'm just going to put myself, I am approximately there, right? So it just does my face and it puts me there. In Ecuador, in the Ecuador map, what's interesting is that it's using a different pattern for the marker that you place in your where. So I was born in Quito, and Quito makes me very happy. So in this particular one, I'm going to say birthplace, because this one has tags and emojis. So instead of using my avatar, it's got a nice little emoji that pops up there. Oh, I love it. This is a bug. If we were to be in Chrome, then the icon is centered. I don't know why it's not centered in Firefox. Some very weird thing about the difference in font rendering sizes in Firefox and in Chrome. And in one of the things that you can specify when you create a space is you can specify whether you only get one position, like this one, you only have one place that you can be. Whereas in the Ecuador map, we specified that you can add multiple things in. So like maybe this is where I work now, which is not in Ecuador, but pretend that I did. And when I'm working, I'm not so happy right now. In fact, it kind of makes me sad because I would like to get a new job. So that might be what we're talking about. So you might mix geolocation and emotion because you've used the emoji as your marker instead of the avatar as your marker. So here's a couple other ones. Maybe your space is totally abstract. What does this mean? I don't know. You've decided what this means in your team, the being in the center or being in this square kind of circle. Or here's a different one, the zodiac. Where are you in the zodiac? A very quick way of seeing where that might be. All right, any questions so far? All right, so let me jump to whoops, not that one. Let me jump to here. And I'm going to do this because, let's see. I had a window open here, which is why. So let's create a new space. So this space, I don't know, we're going to call it emotions. And for this space, let's use, I don't know, we're going to say that emotions are going to map to this list of a forest. So there's the image link. And I just paste it in and I do preview. Hey, why isn't that working? This is supposed to load up immediately and show you the image. Maybe that doesn't work. Copy image link, localhost. Oh, well, let's try this bird image instead and see if this one works. Aha, that one is working. Okay, good. So what do you guys want me to use? For the avatar, we can use for the marker, we can use the avatar, we can use an emoji, we can use a color location marker, or you can use initials. This is what the current set of things that you can do for your marker. Anybody care? Oh, let's.
Could we do the further out the beak, the happier you are emotionally?
Yeah, but what is the marker? When your marker is there, what is the which marker are you going to use? I guess we would use the avatar.
Avatar.
Okay, fine. And do you get to have multiple emotions? Or just one?
No.
Just one?
Just one.
Okay, and then should you do tags so you can say something about your emotion? Or no tags? Okay, tags, great. So now we have the emotions map, and well, so if you're out on the beak, that's where, now I'm sitting down here in the rain over there in the far corner, and my tag is my garden isn't growing. There you go, that's my tag. So I'm way over here. It would be so much fun if you guys were all playing this at the same time. I think we should have done it that way. I almost want to go, maybe actually I'm going to do this. Or Guillaume, maybe you want to do a package and pop it up as in the release real quick, and then more of us could play it, because we could do it on the launcher. If people have the launcher, then we could be playing at the same time. That would be fun.
Let me prepare it.
Okay, but in the meantime, so now you've seen some of the variability that you can have just by creating a space. But what I want to show now is a different thing, which is the template that you're using to create a space. So this one was a 2D map, and what it uses is it uses an image, the URL that you type in. There are many kinds of templates, and you can create new templates. So some sample templates. Here's the quadrant one. So let's call this one the Holo space, and the left axis is going to be liberal, and the right axis is going to be conservative. The bottom axis is going to be Holochain, and the top axis is going to be blockchain. And I don't know, let's mix in, we'll just do initials for this case.
Eric, can we also add more marker or edit a marker? These markers,
so if you do create, you mean, can we create new types of markers?
Yes.
We haven't done that yet, but it's a good idea. I mean, I don't know what would be this is a great question. What would be the grammar so that that could be something that a user could do rather than
just imagine it's going to be a little bit art. I can add a musical, the musical topic, or so. Not
I mean, the easiest thing that we could do is we could have a marker where you pick the icon. That would be something we could do, where you could pick the icon that is the marker.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but otherwise, each one of these markers requires some kind of code. So actually, here I'll do the color one for this particular one. That's interesting, because I'm not sure what it would mean in the Holopolo space. In the Holopolo space, to have a marker in a different color. Let's do avatar, so you actually know who you are. Okay. So in this space, what you're doing is you're saying, am I a liberal blockchain user, a conservative blockchain user, a Holochain conservative, or a Holochain liberal, right? So you get to put yourself where you are in that space. And you can see that you can create this quadrant thing allowed you to create any number of different types of quadrants. So, because I could just go quickly and easily create a new one. Does that make sense? So this is the beginning of the template stuff that I was beginning to talk about. But the second layer of Grammatics here is that you can also create new templates. So this is a little bit complicated, because if I just click on the plus template, what it's going to say is paste in some HTML or some SVG here, right? So what I'm going to do, instead of doing that raw, because then you have to have created an SVG item, I'm going to actually just do one example here, which is I'm going to take, so one thing we did is we made it so that, let's pick, yeah, this is a, well, actually, first what I'm going to do, before I do this, I'm going to create one new space, and I'm going to pick some of the other spaces. So like here, we actually have the iron triangle, and here's the 3 different parameters that you have. So this parameter, it could be quality. Does anybody want to suggest 3 dimensions of a triangle that's not iron?
The famous one, the triple button: nature, economy, and humanity.
Enemy and people.
People, yes.
And so what's the question that's being asked? What makes you happiest? Something like that?
Yes,
or what's your question about those dimensionalities? Or where do you find pain? I don't know. What is the space in which those are the dimensions?
So how we can continue far, or how we can save, because we need triple button, you know, because we shouldn't select 2 of them, we need 3 of them.
Well, but so if it's a space, what you're picking typically is the dimensionality of the space. And so it may be the case here, or so maybe actually it's like for a particular project, which one are we going to sacrifice? Sacrifice?
Yes, that is great. Yes.
I don't know. This is part of the point of Grammatics, right?
Yeah.
So
yes, I love it. Exactly the topic of sacrificization. That is
and that turns it totally around. You can ask sacrifice, or you can ask what is most important to you, and it totally changes the
right.
The meaning. Yeah.
And so I don't even know what this means, but part of the point is to figure out meanings in these various different dimensionalities. And so one of the things that's so interesting about having the emoji as one of the options is that it allows you to be in a space and have your own reaction to that space also be its own dimension, which is interesting. So I don't know what it means in this case, but let's just try it out. Okay, so here we have economy, nature, and people. And I don't know what it means to me to be right in the middle. And what happens if I'm choosing flags? I don't know. If I'm choosing animals and I am a zebra in the middle of the space. I mean, you can go over and you see that the zebra is me and I can edit it. But what does that mean? I'm not sure.
This is deep. This is deep.
You can also drag things around, right? You can move your location around. Okay, now here's the cool thing though. So I have this particular space and I'm like, you know what? I want to fork this space. I mean, I want to create not just a fork of the space, which you could do, where you can fork the space, which basically copies all of the, where is it? It copies all the items that you had and you could tweak it just a little bit, right? So you can fork a space. But the other thing you can do that's more interesting is you can fork a template. So here is the SVG that is the iron triangle, right? And the thing that gives the parameters, that makes the parameters exist, is that you put inside this %% and the name of the parameter. So this is a stroke, a text fill that has param2, and whatever text you put in here is what's going to go into the UI when you create the space. So as an example, one thing that we can do is we can, I'm just going to pick a random one here. I don't know why this would matter, but this is just as an example, is that we can take this, oh, is that the stroke? I want the fill. Where's something with an interesting fill? Fill, why are these fills? Okay, let's pick this particular one here. Let's make this one, let's do % color, %, and we're going to call this iron triangle, or, you know, this is the triangle color space color. It's basically a way of thinking about a template is it's an abstract space. So this is an abstract triangle color space. Okay, great. So now I can go and I can make a new space using the triangle color space. And what's fascinating about this is I can type in a different color, preview it, and it changes the color of that particular circle. Right, so this is that, perhaps that's not interesting, but maybe it does matter to you. What is the emotional feeling? Or like maybe I should have picked the one that was the center triangle and it changes that color. Or I could have changed any other part of this particular space, added in more strokes, more things, and I could have edited that template. But now this is a template that is available for us to use. And I think like this abstract space here is also a template. It's a very simple one. Let me take a look at how it was done. I forgot. That's interesting. Oh yeah, no. So this is the template. The box template is just a template that has style in it. So if I were to create a new space, let's do this new space, and it's a box. It just has a style for the size of the box. And so I think this particular space has a gradient inside that style. So if I was to fork this space, oh, I think that's what it is. There it is. We have this extra little thing called extra UI elements, which is just a way of creating other elements in it that have styles. I'm not sure this is the best way to go. This was like my initial way of how to create templates. And then Damien was like, I don't like this language. Instead, I'm going to make it be that you can actually put in HTML or SVG for your templates, because I didn't have as good a way of doing that. But this is a way of adding, like you could do annotations. So for example, in the Earth's one, this thing, Land of the Lost, is one of those annotations where if you look, if we were to fork this space, you see it's got a box with a little bit of content, the Land of the Lost, inside that box. And it was just like, one of the things I was thinking is you would want to do annotations, but I think the SVG is a much better way of doing it. And this is something that we should probably get rid of or make it more specific and easier to use rather than having to type in JSON in some crazy way to make those things show up. This is not good user interface, which is why I hid it as extra UI elements. But it's quite it's quite flexible. You can do lots of things with it, and you can create it. It's easier than going to an SVG editor and copying an SVG or typing in HTML. It's just gives you little boxes that you could stick around with annotation in it. Okay, so I think that is the demo. Is there anything else really to say? Oh, well, you can do some stuff like you can hide things if things get too full, because I knew we were going to end up having too many of them. But these are just some of the niceties that are around for the user interface. And we'll keep adding things or not, depending just what feels like the right thing to do. Any questions? Any other things people would like to see? Oh, I didn't show the color thing. So like in this one, you say, I don't know why you would have a tag for your rising space object. I'm not sure what is it in the astrology. I'm not really good at astrology, but you can set colors in here, and then wherever you put your tag, it uses the color that you set from the user interface. That's what this marker allows you to do. Okay, questions?
Yeah, I had a question about when I saw the quadrant space specifically, would it be possible to link different spaces together? So for example, if you're holochain liberal or conservative, you're able to go inside there and see the more nuance.
Yeah, that's a great question. I was actually talking about that with David Atkinson, who's excited to use this tool for a bunch of different things, where he basically wants to use it for a sequence of spaces during a retreat that you would walk people through. And so it would be kind of cool to do that, where you could click on that, and then there would be a way of moving into a new space and having like some kind of Zoom user interface. I think the easiest thing to do to start with would be you just create 2 different spaces. And then when you're done looking at that, you click over on the other side of the map. I mean, in your list of templates, I mean, your list of spaces. But yeah, I really like that idea. I don't know what the grammar would be for double clicking on that space. That's interesting. Like, how do you indicate in a space that you want to link to another space? That'd be fun.
Yeah, I also had another question about, again, I guess this quadrant thing was really interesting for me. In terms of aggregating the information from various spaces. So not necessarily inside, but like, side by side. If I want to know someone who's in Ecuador, who's a blockchain conservative, it takes it all together.
Oh, you're the data miner. Okay, I got it. That would be interesting, right? That would be an interesting thing to add into the application, where if there is a connection and you can see where people are in one. I think one of the things that's interesting about this starting idea behind it is that all this thing does in the locations is it's a 2-dimensional coordinate. So there's no semantics stored about where you are as a holochain liberal. We only do that because we're basically rendering a flat 2D object and can put that on that. And this is what I was mentioning before, that that a 2-dimensional space you can use non-semantically to refer to lesser dimensional spaces. So blockchain liberal conservative is well, I guess it's fully 2-dimensional, but we haven't been able to set semantically where the origin is. So you also don't know that there's no semantics behind this. You would have to do some translation of the semantics to know where it is, to translate, like down here, this is going to be what, 10 comma 1,000 or 200 or what, 600, right? This actually should be -1 minus 1, and it should be normalized if you're really going to try to do data analytics on that. And I think that would be interesting. It would be interesting to be able to do that kind of stuff. How to make a good user interface to connect the semantics of these things, it would be hard. And this zodiac, this is not a two-dimensional space. This is a linear space, or in fact, actually, it's a 12-point space, really. Now, I don't know why this is in a star. Like, am I more Aries than not Aries if I'm out here? So this picture is a funny picture. And it would actually really be nice to be able to do some kinds of those lesser dimensional spaces where you actually would know the semantics of it. So you could actually do that. But that's not where this particular code base is at yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. All right, I'll stop sharing.
Wow, that was great. That was great. Thank you, Eric. So I have a question. If the answer takes time, just ignore it. That when I'm thinking about this kind of stack of the web and the question zoom in, zoom out, I'm thinking about the pattern that we have in a society as an election. So we put the title as a true or false, and 49% of people are supposed to follow a 51%. So can we imagine also somehow this kind of semantic or grammatic can help the society just go to the conclusion instead of flip-flop voting, that where are the people just can make a decision better, not just the flip-flop voting. So it means just help the social fabric, as the Holochain also is the kind of philosophy. So am I right? Am I dreaming right, or I'm totally off topic?
Well, I mean, that's a very interesting question. So is voting an example of where? That's the question you're asking. And to some degree it is. It's like if you're picking a particular individual, it's a binary where, and you basically count up all the number of people who are on one side and one dot or another dot. There's just two dots on the screen. And if you look at that, that feels like a really poor way of doing it. If instead we were selecting our sentiment in a gradient across a number of dimensions, and then there was a way of connecting those different dimensions to individual humans who would represent those dimensions, or you don't even do that, you do it by party, I don't know. So you could start thinking down those lines. I would love to see some people experimenting with that. Obviously, for that to scale into social orders, larger orders, you would have to do that. But I mean, it's it is like, there is this really deep question about, in a democracy, in rule of the people, by the people, for the people, what is the tooling that you have to enable that, to make it real? Maybe this could help, I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you. So is there any other questions so far? And hello to Jakub also. Jakub joined us. So
I just got one last question. It's regarding the building on Holochain, in terms of how do you see, if you do plan on using the agent-centric design of Holochain with regard to this application?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the way I hear that question is, or how I'm interpreting it is, well, why the heck is this Holochain? You could do this on a central web server anytime, right? Yeah, okay, that's true. And so, and that's true actually of a lot of these different things. Like, you can do it in centralized. What is it that makes it special? Well, I have two answers to that. Maybe three answers. The first one is, there's nothing special about it.
Sorry to interrupt. I see it's really choppy. I just wanted to it is me or anybody else just can easily hear everything?
I hear everything perfect.
This was great. Yeah.
That's it. Good. Recording, so it's working. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. So my three answers. The first one is there's nothing, right? Because you could really do this, and you can get a lot of the same benefits. Level 2. It's really interesting that I did not have to set up a server anywhere or get a domain name. So there's something about there's this really interesting thing about if you draw a gradient about how easy it is to get something done and make it available, there's some point in time as you just like make it easier and easier and easier. Basically, you reduce the barrier to entry, where I think there is like there's an order of magnitude difference that starts to happen as a result of that. And so the fact that I create this app and then and I can just send the file to anybody who could install it on their launcher, and there's no centralized server, nothing to set up at Amazon, AWS, there's nothing like that, is a really different experience for a developer being able inside a community to share an app with another set of people. And so that's true of all Holochain apps, right? Not just where, but I think there's something really interesting about what that feels like, that all of a sudden it's just working. No deployment. It's like deployment 0. And it's also deployment without a center. Like you could say, okay, what am I go use Heroku, and deployment is super easy for apps on Heroku and all of the other competitors for Heroku that came out later. But you have to pay Heroku. And here we're all paying for it together because we want to use it. So that is different. And then here's this third thing, which is when you do that, what changes because you did that? And this is now, I'm just making this up. I don't know if it's true, but I wonder, or at least let's make it as a query, what you are willing to share in your Where app might be different because of that. Because this isn't recorded in some central place, and it is only shared between the people who I shared the UID with, that means it's this network of people. My sense of trust or confidence and willingness to engage may be different. Or because I'm not worried of it being shut down eventually, because I can play this game as forever, what will I do differently? So I'm interested in sort of like the network side effects of the difference in the deployment. And I don't know, what do you all think? To me, that seems like there can be, especially at scale, some significant differences because of that fact.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely a bit more paranoid of sharing on a central platform because who knows what they're doing with it.
Yeah.
And also,
no, that's it.
Eric, we can also imagine the templates can be a kind of cloning DNA. It means the template can be a space where the people just can go and sit around, not just to share a space. So I'm not sure right now. I don't think so. Right now, templates and opening a template, it is a part of one DNA. We can also imagine that some people just can create and clone a template as a cloning a DNA with a permission that others can join in totally isolated network that play together.
Yeah, well, I imagine that. So the thing that I spun up was one Where space for a bunch of people who are playing with spaces together. So you spin up a new one, give it a new name, the new UID, you're in another space. It's easy. You just copy the HTML or the SVG from the template. You can just copy it to a new one. You're done, and you can be playing with that in a new DNA. So that's there. Yeah.
Actually, my suggestion would be just expanding. Just imagine we are going to have a network of social fabric. Just in one template, just a part of a society can go. For example, in my region, our ally can go and reach to the conclusion and bring it up to one layer upper, just as a stack of the group of people. So it means just zoom in, zoom out, and the just my family, for example, can reach to one point in one template, and just I can bring as an agent of my family to a bigger group, to a bigger group, to a bigger group. And that's why I was thinking, okay, one template also can go to the different DNA as a group and just propagate the read to the bigger group.
That sounds great. Go ahead and build it. I like the idea. There's some technical challenges to that, but I like it.
Anyway, guys, I believe maybe for this session, let's ignore a code review, because the code review also is the big part. If Eric, Guillaume, and others you agree upon, so we can just continue talking about the whole idea, where application, demo, or anything. Maybe we need to have another session to just open the code, go and code review. What do you think?
I am easy wherever people want to go. If we want to jump into the code, I'm happy to go there. I would want, Guillaume, I would hope for some support from you. But otherwise we could do it some other time, whatever people want.
I think I have the web hub also.
You guys want to try playing with it?
Sure.
Does everybody have the launcher?
Does it matter what version the launcher is on?
Probably. Which version?
Latest 034.
034. Okay. Do you want to pop the web app in? Oh, Hidayat?
Yes, let's to not have a longer one. I'm going to pause the video just to not have a really long-term video. So when everybody install the launcher we bring up, I'm gonna actually start again the video that you can see. So why we need Holochain? Actually, the reason that this generally ideologies fit totally to Holochain. I'm going to pause the video. When everything is ready, I'm going to start. So wait for us. So hello back. Actually, we almost did everything. All the friend here already installed the launcher. Thank you, Guillaume. Guillaume is always lovely, Guillaume. So yeah, it is the reason you are supposed to see why this beautiful idea is supposed to be implemented in Holochain, because there is no need for a centralized server, there is no need for domain, we can play each other peer-to-peer from Holochain to Holochain actually. So in the description, I'm going to share the link how you can play with it. It means you need to have a launcher, you need to have a download the web app package and bring it up with your friend, go and play with web. Right now, we are going to go to Harlem, and he's going to create something and invite us as a friend to tell him where we are.
Okay, great. So I'll share a screen. Let's see. We'll try to share part of the screen because the screen is a little large. Not exactly that part, but more of that part. All right. Everyone can see the where, okay? Good.
Yep.
Cool. So we've got the Earth view, my favorite so far. And it looks like Eric's moving closer and closer to Hawaii as the time axis progresses. And we've got a couple of Europe, someone else in the middle of the ocean. Looks like Imran, maybe there's a mass migration toward Hawaii that's happening here. I would say playful folks. Let's see, I should be seeing a list of people, right? So here I have the list of people. In the Earth view, I guess I don't have the list of people anymore. I just have the people on the map. That's pretty much expected.
You have it probably, it's just on the right. It just goes very far to the right.
I think it's because you have too much zoom.
Yes. Too much zoom. Great. We can see people are green or red depending on their ping. So everybody is red for me. I'll try clicking the refresh button, see if anything changes. I've also been doing a browser refresh sometimes, and sometimes I get more people showing up. Looks like Zippy went green, maybe because of the refresh. Not sure.
I think there's some bugs in this. This part has not been very well tested, and I'm really interested that there's some characters inside your little your marker there. What are those characters? Because Damien has done this, and it's like I'm really psyched with what he's done. So I don't know about that. Does that look like? Huh. Anyways, keep going.
Okay, sure. Let's see. It's so apparently there are scroll bars in some operating systems and browsers, but I don't see any in mine to move around this map. But enough of my problems. We could go create a new space. So creating a space from a template, does that sound like the thing we want to do next? And we can place ourselves in this space.
Yay.
Does anyone have a desired template?
Quadrant.
Quadrant.
Yeah, I would also like to do quadrant.
All right. And what axis? What's one axis you'd like to see on the quadrant, Guillaume? Left to right.
Whether you like more cold weather or sunny hot weather, but like, yeah, extremely cold or no, the axis takes care of that. That's okay. Okay,
great. And someone else with a top bottom axis?
Poisonous
Strawberry.
Just you were saying.
Strawberry?
Strawberry, yes.
Okay. And as opposed to?
I guess blueberry.
Okay. That's what you end up with crowdsourcing. You know, sometimes you get Bodie McBoatface. And what would be the question, the space in which these are the axes?
I don't know. It seems like it's like okay, yeah. So
there you go.
Ice cream. So hot weather, cold weather, blueberry, strawberry, ice cream. Okay, that works.
When ice cream, when kinda ice cream. How about that? When and what kind of ice cream? Maybe just ice cream preferences. Very important we get this right. Okay, width and height, we happy with that? Avatars, emojis, colors, or initials? Anyone?
Emojis.
All right. And should we have multi-locations per user?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. This could enable some, like, when it's cold, I like strawberries, but when it's hot, I like blueberries. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense here, but
well, the thing is that because you chose emoji, what you can do is you can say you can create a bunch of different responses to different places on the quadrant. Or the other thing that we could do is we could say, okay, you get to use this kind of emoji for this kind of thing. That's another way that you can think about the dimensionality of it. But I don't quite know how that maps with this particular space. Let's just try it, see what happens. Let's create the space. And
we'll enable tags. We'll be power users. Should we have any extra UI elements? We're experts.
Nah, it's too complicated right now.
Okay, let's do it. And so you all show up here, and do you all, just curious, have this pop up in your left bar?
Popped up immediately for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
And so I click somewhere in there, and immediately I get this menu. I'll be an angel. My tag would be yum. And I like ice cream in hot weather. And really neither strawberry nor blueberry, so I'll be in the middle. Maybe I'll edit that tag. I'll say only fruit flavors. Where's the chocolate? Victor has two identical emojis that say good stuff and equally good stuff.
They were meant to be at different places. And I can't seem to move them right now. Can I? Oh yeah, I can.
You should be able to drag them around. It doesn't let you drop something on top of another one. So you can't get very precise. I guess you could zoom in and then you could get closer and drop things. Like the more you zoom in, the more close you could get to something.
So Eric, is this an SVG template like the triangle?
Yes, it is. So if you close down the list, then you can click fork template and then you can go see that. So if you navigate to there, yeah, it's a bug. The items on the far right of the top bar, that's where you can fork the template.
Okay, should I do that?
If you wanted to. As you all like. We now know where we are in ice cream space.
Okay.
So if you're going to fork the template, that's because you want to change the template. If you want to just fork the space because you don't like we made a mistake and it should have been not blueberry and strawberry, but it should have been fruit and spice or something like that, then that would be an easy way to create a new space of the same type or close to the same type. But if we're going to fork the template, it's because we want to create something like, I don't know, if we wanted to like rotate the lines, instead of having the lines be a top to bottom line, you could do something interesting that way, but you'd have to be good with your SVG.
Makes sense. Yeah, we already saw the forking the template. And so we'll leave that one as an exercise for the reader. Kim is like blueberry in cold weather, yawn. That's my interpretation anyway. All right, great. Anything else we want to do in the ice cream space? I think we've exhausted our ice cream. Cold weather, in between blueberry and strawberry. Axe Hue has icicles coming out of their mouth.
Eric, do you think, is there anything else more for demoing with the group, or just for demo is enough, or something is remained?
Yeah, it's really, to me, it's really fun to see all of this. And so I don't know what specific would be good. I liked actually going over to the earth and being able to see where we all are. That's beautiful. One of the templates that it's just kind of nice because of how global this whole we all are. It's a beautiful view instantly to see. I've always wanted to have one where you just have the time zone thing, just so that we all remember. That's a different space that we could have up here. We should do that. Yeah, no, I don't know. I think in terms of demoing the particular state of the app, this is it. It's just fun to see that we've gotten here.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm really impressed by the different templates. Just the triangle template and quadrant template really give an idea of what's possible, and yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, cool. Somebody, wait a second. Somebody already just created on the fly. This is awesome. Actually, go do it. There is a new template. Where do you like to play? Oh, this is great.
Wow. So someone tell us how you did this.
Okay, so I just use, so basically this is, I want to credit, this is Alana Irving's work. She does this thing called full circle leadership, where it's basically talking about different types of leadership, or also leadership, like maintenance leadership, stuff like that. And so basically she has this tool where you get, I just stole for now one of her images, where you can self-assess, and then you can kind of use this for a whole group to see like where do we lack leadership, or like what are the, so people get to take leadership in the spaces that they enjoy, and not having to push leadership in spaces that they don't enjoy being in. So it's basically, but I think usually you can create kind of spider diagrams with this stuff. So you can get like a view of the whole team when you combine all the figures. So it has this scale from 1 to 5, but you can kind of use it like this as well. Like it's super easy to just pull in the image and then place yourself and see where people want to go.
Now, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I had no clue of this, and you popped it in here and you grabbed the image and it was ready and we were doing it. And I actually put myself where I like to be typically. And this is really cool.
Yeah, because I've been wanting to do this with people. I've been wanting to use this tool, and it's kind of like, yeah, you can get the spreadsheet and you can do the but just doing like this is so simple.
Yeah, awesome. That's really cool.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you. It means you showed exactly everything. You finished it actually. Thank you.
Yeah.
Harlan, do a refresh. Like close down the list and do a refresh. You don't have to. Yeah, just do a refresh.
This one?
Yeah. It's interesting because my map shows. Yeah, there you go. That's what I was. So you for some reason, you're not getting a lot of the signals that we're popping data in, and you just got it through Gossip there. So that's interesting. This app does not have polling. It just relies on signals for the fast stuff, and then you refresh later if you miss the signal. So, and it makes sense that signals are failing because otherwise the ping thing would be working better, I think. I'm curious about that. I mean, signals are not guaranteed. We know that, but it's interesting to see.
Yeah, it seems we have a problem a bit in maintaining and operationalize things. We have to be careful in the future, not to prototype things that then we are not going to maintain.
Yeah, this is a well-known weakness of startup culture, right? So, and I know myself, I am very, very happy to be in the prototype and the Envision and the Inquire. Not so happy to be in the rest of them.
And so suppose we wanted to add a feature to this, or more broadly to Where, that we wanted to see the spider web. We wanted to see like all of Harlan's dots connect to each other, and maybe each person in a different color. I guess, how would you imagine going about that, Eric, or anyone?
Well, let's try it. Like fork this space, and we'll change the avatars to color, and and we each choose a different color and see what it does. So no, not the template. Fork the space. Okay.
Stand by.
No, you were right. That was the right place to go. It's just you were picking. Yeah. Fork space. Boom. Right. Oh, it's not coming up.
Nothing so far.
Oh, that's weird.
There we go. And I guess
I'm going to switch to Firefox and see if it works there, because for some reason I'm seeing.
In Firefox, I don't even see the menu. So just remember.
No, the menu only shows when the list is closed.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, it's working for me in Firefox.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also for me.
Would you please take a gear to, let's go to the Eric, because to also have not a really long video. Harlan, can we go to Eric, that Eric can continue the demo?
Of course.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so share the screen. Okay, so all I was doing here was clicking on, I had to close this down because the menus to the right disappear when the list is open. That's a current bug, an open bug. But now if I do fork space,
Eric, would you please minimize your browser, because in the recording video, exactly the place you are clicking, it is the picture of yourself. Actually, maybe the people cannot see where are you clicking. If you
all right, let's see. So if I make this a little
yes,
bit
thank you.
smaller, like this. Well, what I should probably do then is I should stop sharing and I should share the window. Share the window. There we go. All right. Does that work better?
That is great.
Okay. So now here I should be able to say fork space. And where do you like to play number 2? And instead of avatar, we change it to color. All right. And now we are all there. You guys, you all should see it. Now go up here in the top left and change your color to some color that you like. I'm going to be green. And then we can play the game again and see if how it works. So I tend to like to be there and there. And I'm actually somewhat interested in operationalizing. In fact, actually, I like to get things working. Maintaining and optimizing, not so much. I love inquiry. So I don't know if others, I'm not seeing others in this space yet. Maybe I need to refresh. Are others in the space? Can you see it? Ah, there's somebody popping in. Yep. I think that was you, Imran. So I don't know, Victor, if this is doing what you're saying, or Harlan, you were had the question about, yeah, it's hard to see with avatars. It's much easier to see with colors. You get a kind of sense of the clustering. Yeah, you know, this is great. Like, it's really good feedback. I'd love to see what other types of markers we should be using. And I actually like the idea of being able to pick an icon as the marker. That would be a good thing, that you could actually pick your own icon.
Yeah, I love the colors, and that does address a lot of what I was looking for. I was also thinking if we could have the spider web lines between the quadrant Harlan markers, preferably in the Harlan color. And so I was thinking about this partly like as a developer, you know, if I wanted to add these features to where is it, you know, what would that look like? That's the kind of inquiry I was going down.
Ah, great. Yeah, that's a great question. Well, where is open source? And adding new things in should be pretty darn straightforward. I'm not quite sure, like, so it's an interesting question how to add in user interface options, like, and certainly like creating a whole drop-in modularization for user interface would be a cool thing to do down the line. But it obviously would be pretty easy to add in more radio buttons that allow you to pick, like when you're creating a space. So like let's see here, when I create a new space, right now, there's these 2 radio buttons about enabling tags and multiple locations per user. I could imagine that certain types of markers that if you pick them would say, I don't know, connect, like if you picked multiple locations per user, there would be a sub one that would say link. And so that's just a little bit of JavaScript to draw a line between those pieces, and could be added into the UI if that was there.
Nice, makes sense.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and just want a presence that there are so many brilliant systems like this, right, that have been developed over decades and decades, you know, especially for teams. And thanks, Victor, for bringing this one, because it's such a rich one. And you know, it's just it's really exciting to have all of these that could be played with through the Where tool. And to your earlier point, Eric, you said that we're not storing the information. Like, this is just coordinates in 2D that we're storing. We're not storing the semantic information about what Harlan likes to, optimize and operationalize and prototype, etc. But we could be in the future, and then we can start to build those higher dimensional spaces, those higher dimensional maps of the individuals in the team, and then we could we're starting with these 2D views, but we could be building up this multi-dimensional model, and then we could start visualizing that multi-dimensional model in different slices that are other than the slices in which we originally created them, which also comes back to the thing of, where are you in the world and what kind of ice cream do you like, filtering by Blueberry team members only.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's really important. And so I'm just going to show a little bit. We didn't go into the code. I'm here at the repository, which you can see I've got highlighted here. You can go there if you'd like. And this is the design document. So in the initial design document, which is not currently implemented, the DNA has this notion of in every space, there's a dimensionality, which is defined by a coordinate system for that dimensionality, right? So this is where I'd like to get to. And so inside a given kind of dimensionality, well, one kind of dimensionality might be orthogonal. So orthogonal dimensions are the ones that we're used to, 1, 2, 3 dimensional spaces, where you say X, Y, Z, these are the orthogonal dimensions. And then you might specify a range inside that dimensionality, right? You might also do something like, here is an orthogonal dimensionality where the coordinates are enumerations, not integers, right? And so you might have ranges that are possible inside the enumeration of the particular dimensionality you might have. Here's an example that you might be able to specify about a dimensionality that's a fixed tree. That's actually a tree of items of sub notions, and then this is how you're recording your the semantics of that data, rather than just being 2 dimensions. And this is a thought experiment of how to do that. I'm not sure if this is the best grammar or you should use these kind of ideas, but to me, this was what I was looking for, is in a space, what kind of dimensions do we have? Are they orthogonal dimensions? Are they tree style dimensions? What are they? And then you can see that we're starting to get a sense of what the grammatics of location might be like.
Yeah, it's really exciting. That last one, the emotions wheel, makes me think of NVC, which has nonviolent communication, often have lists of needs, right? Which can be, like human needs, like the need for shared reality, as a random example of a very deep need among humans. And sometimes these lists are dozens, maybe 100 long in the lists that I've seen, and are categorized. So very much like the emotions tree you were pointing to. And also these unmet needs in teams are what causes a lot of stuff that apparently has nothing to do with them, right? That is, people don't like to talk about their unmet needs. They like to talk about the problem they're having, with this person or what they're doing wrong, etc. And so if we could map our needs as a team and how met our needs are, even on a broad spectrum of just a dozen of them, or more finely grained, that could be super powerful for the emotional health of the team.
That's actually kind of cool, because it's like this wheel, and the closer in you get to the inside would be either met or unmet. And so your dimensionality is in, and then around the outside is the area, like the slices of the pie. Yeah, that's cool. That would be another way of seeing that.
I think it seems I think we already started, and I would like to recommend let's wrap it up for today, because we reviewed the philosophy, we had the demo. I think for sure code review for another session, maybe next week. Let's see what is the timing for others, and especially Eric. So if you agree, let's finish this session right now and postpone the rest about the high-level design dream a little bit prototyping. So, and also go and do a code review for the next session. So,
and I'll see if I can get Damien to come for the next session, since he's written a lot of this code and deserves a lot of the credit for it. See if I can get him to come and share in the code review.
that is great. That is great. Love to see Damien here, especially with Snap Mail one day, also deep dive. So thank you, everybody. So I don't know, maybe the meeting is going to be a little bit more longer, continue, let's see. But for right now, this Holochain-in-Action session, we are going to say bye-bye, finish it, the part one there. And I hope you got the point. When we were playing together, there was no centralized server. It was the Holochain application, DNA. If you are running with you and your friends, somehow you see a little bit buggy, the data is not refreshed, don't be panic, stay with us. The things is going to get better and better. So we love you, take care, and see you next time. Bye-bye.